Chapter 68. Freeman calls Walter. The day before, he had spoken with an acquaintance of Joran. The conversation had brought some new issues to the table. Freeman was a bit uncertain. How should he convey this without misunderstandings? He already knew that Walter was a good person to talk to, someone who listened, who didn't jump to conclusions, but was skilled at using a nuance meter. He was perhaps the best in the group at calibrating that nuance meter. Through music. Through his familiarity with Johann Sebastian Bach's fugue technique and, not least, Max Reger's tonal alternation technique, Walter could handle most things. Now he was being confronted with ideas on another level, but he was ready for anything. Time for a real challenge. Freeman, Walter, and Joran arranged a video meeting on Google Meet. Freeman had set aside 2 hours, and the other two had agreed. What might be slightly irregular was that the number one item on the agenda concerned Joran's acquaintance from the University of Oslo. This person, named Gunnar Blinkvik, had climbed high in the academic hierarchy and become an associate professor at the Faculty of Geopolitics. He had published a large number of books and papers and had reached an advanced age, nearing 70. He had not retired, but continued in a 50% position at the faculty. Fair enough. But during the conversation with Freeman, he had recounted some unusual discoveries in a way that immediately caught Freeman's interest. Here we hear Gunnar Blinkvik's own words. What happened one Saturday morning in his home? I woke up early, I'd guess around 4 a.m. It was still dark outside. I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Thoughts were competing for first place. There were different thoughts all the time, a jumble of thoughts. How to stop this constant traffic of thoughts? How to seize hold of a thought and focus on it? Okay, with a kind of forced effort, a single thought remained. It concerned the interior of the kitchen. It became concrete around the stove. Eventually, a pot of water appeared on the burner, and an egg was slowly lowered into the water. The thought expanded to the bread box. Inside was a fresh rye bread. The bread was placed on the cutting board, and 2 thin slices were cut and set aside. Then the thought moved to the kettle. The water was finished boiling. It was a simple matter to turn on the electric switch of the kettle. Boiled water in about 2 minutes. Then the thought went to the refrigerator. Why was the butter in the fridge? It should have been at room temperature. But the toaster became the scene for the 2 slices of rye bread, and in no time they were ready to have butter melted into them. Everything went smoothly. The slices longed for a topping, something tempting. The thought moved on to the boiled egg. It was finished, and the water was poured out into the kitchen sink. The egg was cooled and tapped at the top with a relatively sharp kitchen knife. Yes, then there was the topping for the 2 slices. The thought decided that 1 slice should be given gammalost, a particularly protein-rich Norwegian cheese with long traditions. Yes, it became gammalost on the first slice. The thought wanted the second slice to receive a topping that contrasted with the gammalost. The choice fell naturally on the apple jam that had found its place at the back of the refrigerator. Now the chain of thoughts suddenly stopped for Gunnar Blinkvik. He felt that something, or someone, forced him out of bed. His fixed gaze on the endless bedroom ceiling let go. He rolled out of bed, stood up on 2 feet, and headed toward the bathroom. Here follow his own thoughts during this walk. I was on my way into the bathroom when I saw myself in the large mirror above the sink. It wasn't right to see my own face. It somehow wasn't me. It was a stranger. I moved my face closer to the mirror so I could look directly into my own eyes. No, they weren't like 2 empty parking spaces. Strangely enough, someone was home in this remarkable creature. After this, I went straight into the kitchen and wondered what I was doing there until the thought from the morning meditation struck me. All the events from there were carefully carried out. and breakfast was finally ready on the kitchen table. Gunnar Blinkvik's account ended there, and Fryman wondered. It all seemed completely absurd and meaningless, entirely ordinary. But Fryman immediately understood that Blinkvik's story was something extraordinary. Now he brought Walter and Göran along on the journey, an exploration into deeper psychology and near-conscious states. They discussed a number of main points before each went their separate ways. A new follow-up meeting was arranged at the same time and place exactly 1 week later.